Alright, so I kept seeing this fucking thing in my head. And I'm like, alright, 2021, okay, that makes kind of sense, I guess. Then I look at the fucking thing again, and I'm like, man, this thing keeps showing up in my CTs and in my MRIs. Oh, that's horrible. So then I'm like, alright, this thing is showing up in my MRIs and my CTs, dating back to 2021. And I'm like, that can't be right. I never talked about Neuralink. I never talked about Mars, or I never talked about any of this back then, I don't think. And I go, let me check. So I check Earth underscore visitor, and I see so much stuff about Neuralink, about Mars. Pretty good stuff, good content, I guess. Good, like it's made well. And then I go on to, I'm like, well, let me check something else. And these are like under NASA, under Chief Keef is on there. I added, so this had to get some like, and this is before they had the views of stuff, so you couldn't really tell how many views it got. So then I'm looking NASA. There's Elon Musk. There's a bunch of other people, I guess, that would have seen it or could possibly see it. So then I'm looking at all this stuff. I'm like, wow, like there's a lot of Neuralink content. There's a lot of me talking about like making comparisons from Proudhon and Elon, and like a bunch of stuff. Like, just you'll have to see it on there. And then I'm like, okay. So then let me look at the other one, which is Advo for the Void. And so I look on Advo for the Void, I think it is called, and these are the posters for realizing that we're in a void. And then they're all fucking Elon and death related and all this other junk. And I'm looking back there, and they go from like 2020 to 2020. And then I'm like, all right, so this is interesting. When could have this possibly happened? And so then I go retracing my steps of where I've lived. And these 2020 posts up to about 2021, some date around there, until I left the house. These are all here in Orlando, like here at this place. And then I move, I guess, to Port Charlotte, and then I move across the way, and then I'm back here at the apartment then, and then I'm back at the house. But that it's funny because that 2020 time, I was back at the house. So if they did something, they could have done something here. I don't know how, and I don't know when, or like how you could possibly do that. Or I guess I know when, but I don't know how. I don't know how you could possibly do that. This is when I was drinking. So I know I've gotten all my COVID vaccines. I do know this. But yeah. Just a little too strange. And the ads, my old profile picture used to be the old Neuralink demo, like like sort of an ape-looking guy. It's like a figure with like a larger nose, or something like this. I don't know if it's necessarily an ape or something. I don't think it's an ape, but it's like a, I don't know. But it had this image here, and it had a Neuralink. And that's the profile picture I was using. So I don't think anybody was doing anything like this, like me. And I'm not saying that they'd be like, it's so important. I'm saying like, literally, maybe I brought some attention to myself that I didn't necessarily want. And maybe they thought that they would watch me and see and then implant me and see how my mind worked, or see how this would all work. That's the best sort of, and this is kind of far out there, but this is the best sort of conspiracy theory that I can bring up. That's, I guess, the conspiracy I'll make a document. And then I was talking about this, and it's so funny because her mom just acts so different. I'll be talking to her about it. I'm like saying, I think they got you too. I think they implanted you as well. And then I'll feel this big jolt on the heart. And then I'll tell her this again. Like, I really do think they got you. I think we've had this for a long time. For a very long time. For like 5 years. I told her this. And then she'll turn into somebody else. She'll turn into like, she's like turning into, she said, she'll just, we need to get this closet closed. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I just fucking showed you all this shit and you're talking about a closet. Like literally the same moment, you know? I'm like, this is so strange how distracted she is. And then she's like, we gotta get this, we gotta do this in order or something. Like she said something to the effect of this, like this sort of, we gotta blank this or we gotta blank this. And I'm like, are you serious right now? I just showed you all this and I'm trying to, I have to document this right now. And she's like, yes, and she's like scratching her head. She looks fucking different as shit. She looks like she's freaking out. She looks different. Only you know. And that's what I'm saying. This shit's fucked up, man. Never implant somebody. You get their consent. Always. So I figure the worst case scenario, I die and then, well, I die anyways. But I leave this information up and somebody comes across it and feels like it's either unjust or unethical or immoral to implant somebody without their consent or permission. And then, I mean, now it's in the stages of shocking, right? So, and more terroristic, hostage-like sort of dynamic. And so I figure somebody then says, you know what, I'm going to fight for this, and this is unjust, and whoever did this is immoral and ought to be put away and punished for such a crime. So that's the best worst case scenario. It won't be me because I can't get them to say anything. So whoever supports this, and I applaud the people of the species that don't support this. The people of the species that do support this, I question your faith, and I question your ability to care, and I question your ability to be a human being.